Hi folks, my name is Mike. I'm a resident of Stevens County.
That's Raleigh, also from Stevens County.
We brought this video to you to kind of visually show you what the Game Department and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service has foisted upon us in their wolf reintroduction program, we'll call it. The original wolf that was indigenous to Stevens County was a wolf called Canus Lupis Irremotus. The male was, average male was 75 pounds to maybe 100 pounds. What the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service has reintroduced, they call it reintroduced, is a northern wolf. It's called Canus Lupis Occidentalis, or Mackenzie Valley wolf. That average male on that wolf subspecies is 130 to 175 pounds. The reason we're doing this is so we can visually show you the size difference. I've attended 2 meetings in Stevens County with the Game Department, and they put on a program of wolves. The first one was with Cattlemen's Association, and then March 27th, the other day, they had a meeting about the wolf and the ungulates. The funny thing about the second meeting is there was no wolf biologist there. There was just ungulate biologists. They kind of bored us to death on the hunter's take on elk and deer and moose, and they really weren't talking about the wolves. So they talked, pretty much put us to sleep for an hour and a half, and then it was the people's turn to talk, and I fortunately was the first one to talk, to speak, and to question them actually. And I specifically asked some questions of Dave Ware. He's the manager from Department of Fish and Wildlife, or Fish and Game, Washington State. And I asked him about these wolves, our indigenous wolf, Irremotus, and I asked him if I said anything incorrect to stop me and to correct me. All right, so what I asked him about Canus Lupis Irremotus is the first word, Canus, is a genus, Lupus is a species, and Irremotus would be the subspecies. What Dave told me after I asked a specific question about these, wolves, is he said, well, we don't use the subspecies anymore, and they just use Canus lupus and group all wolves into Canus lupus. But the problem with that is, the farther south you get, let's say in white-tailed deer, there's a subspecies of white-tailed deer in Florida called the Keys deer, and it's probably maybe maxed 80 pounds. And then you have subspecies all north of that. As they go north, they get bigger. So by the time you get up to Saskatchewan, Manitoba whitetail, it's a 250-pound whitetail. The reason for that is the farther south an animal gets, he's going to have a smaller body size, so he doesn't absorb all that heat. The farther north he gets, he needs a bigger body size because he's got to, insulate himself against the cold weather. Right. So that's why a wolf, this Mackenzie Valley wolf, Canus Lupis Occidentalis, is an average 130 to 170 pound male. He's a bigger animal because he was up north. He needs that insulation. And but what he said, they don't use the subspecies anymore. So I wanted to show you the difference between coyotes, wolf that we had here, the indigenous one, and the one they brought in. They claim they reintroduced. All right, so here's a coyote that I actually took. It's a big male coyote from Stevens County. Probably about a 35-pound animal. Here's a wolf as a Canus Lupis Irremotus, where actually, he's not the actual wolf, because those wolves were pretty much gone from this country from the 1800s on. But you can see he's a lot bigger than the coyote. He's probably about a 60-pound, 65-pound female.
These once were native here.
These once were native, right. Yeah. And that's their genus, species, and subspecies name. Now here's the wolf they brought in, and you can see from the size of them, a lot bigger wolf than what was natively here. This is what they said they brought in, they reintroduced. This animal was never native to this country. He's actually a foreign invader, a foreign subspecies. Dave Ware says they don't go by the subspecies anymore. So what I wanted to kind of show you is this is what they've actually done to us. They've actually taken the subspecies right away from the wolf and gave him just a Canus lupus name. So now they can justify that they say they've reintroduced Canus lupus. And they have, but it was a totally different animal than this animal. You can see by the size. And I think that's pretty much, they're lying to us, folks.
Done by deception.
By deception, they're lying to us. That's both the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, because they said they reintroduced Canus lupus, and our Washington Fish and Game Department, which says they reintroduced Canus lupus. And they have, it's just a different animal. And it can never, this animal can never be this animal, because he's got a different birth certificate than this one. And that's basically what it is. It's a person.
That one will eat this one.
And this one will kill off our whichever any resident wolves we had. They're probably gone now, and it's all the fault of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and our game department. They, I believe, have violated the Endangered Species Act by even introducing this big wolf, because he will kill this wolf off.
Indirectly, or maybe even directly, what has happened here to us, the citizens of Northeast Washington State, these have been brought in against our will, over our objection, and without our consent, and they've been brought in deceptively and fraudulently. Now there's several ways you can actually lie to people. One of them, you just plain lie to them right between your eyes, a cold, hard one like that. The other way is a half-truth. You only tell them partially, part of the truth.
Exactly.
Or the other way to lie is through omission. It's what you don't tell them. Like maybe you didn't tell them that this was, I don't remember the names without looking at them. Each one of them had a different name of a subspecies, and what the Fish and Game Department did is where they lopped off the subspecies and they lumped them together as if they were identical animals.
Exactly, exactly. And so what we want to leave you with is, it's from the Washington State Constitution. It's Article 1, Section 1, political power. All political power is inherent in the people, and the governments derive their just powers from the consent of the governed, and are established to protect and maintain individual rights. Well, folks, I don't consent to this. Raleigh?
I certainly have no consent. I was never even consulted.
Right. And we think the people of Stevens County, the people of Washington State, and our neighbors and friends from Idaho, Wyoming, Montana, Oregon, wherever this interloper wolf is reaching out to, we just don't consent. And I thank you much, folks, for watching our video. This is brought to you by N.E.A.R. It's Neighborhood Emergency Action Response Group of Stevens County, and this is our action and response to the Game and Fish and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Thank you.